Hi, this is Tamara from ooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet a button when you need a button for a project and you just don't have a button you want, or you need one a specific color. You can crochet one. For this tutorial I'm going to use Lion Brand Yarn's Modern Baby and my Furls eye hook, but you could use any yarn and any size hook to get the crochet button you want. Basically, the size of yarn and hook you use will give you different looks, so feel free to experiment. But here's the basic idea. I'm going to start with a magic circle. If you prefer not to use the magic circle, you could start with perhaps a chain 2 or 3, or well, you'd want more than a chain 2, but like a chain 3 or a chain 4 and make a small loop. I am going to work 6 single crochets into the magic circle, also known as the magic ring. Some people call it the magic loop too, but that gets a little confusing because that's something used in knitting in a whole different way. So that's 3. And go ahead and pull my finger out here. Make the last 3. Four and 5 single crochets. All right. I'm going to take the short tail here and pull to close up my circle. You can see that pulls the stitches right into a circle there. I'm not going to worry right now about making it too tight. I can always tighten it up later. I'm going to go into that 6th stitch there to slip stitch. When you're making a button, you want to make it pretty tight, so getting in the stitches can be a little difficult here, but don't worry, there aren't going to be very many of them. And the fun thing about making crochet buttons is once you've got the basic idea down, you really can play with it and make it your own. There's lots of variations on this I've seen in lots of different places. This is my own personal one, which isn't to say someone else hasn't come up with the same one. It's just the one I like to use. All right. So I've got 6 single crochets joined with a slip stitch to form a ring here. Next, I'm going to chain 1 and work 2 single crochets in each stitch around, so that at the end of this round I will have 12. 1, 2 in the first one there, 2 in the next one. I'm using an eye hook here with, I believe this is a lightweight yarn. It just happens to be what I grabbed today. You could absolutely use a smaller hook to make a much tighter button. That would be fine. Like I say, this is a very forgiving idea, very forgiving technique, and it is definitely something to play with. So you can make custom buttons for any crochet or knit project you need them for. So let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in the first stitch there to finish off this round. And pull that closed. And you can see my magic circle wants to open it up a little bit there, so I'm going to give that another good tug. And at the end, see how it closed right up, but at the end I'm going to make sure to keep that tight so that it doesn't open up anymore. Now this is getting relatively large and I don't want to get any bigger, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work one round worked evenly of single crochet. If you wanted a bigger button, say something really nice and big and bold for a hat band or brim, then you could absolutely keep increasing till you've got the size you want. This is going to be a soft button, which makes it nice for use on kids' items, particularly little ones who might fall asleep in their clothes a lot. But of course, like any button, it needs to be secured very well if they're little enough that they're going to put it in their mouth. Or you can just use it on adult stuff too. So, and again, like I say, this is a rather large button. If you wanted a smaller one, I could use a smaller hook. You could use thinner yarn. If you wanted a really big button, you could use 2 yarns held together. Now you can see I've come all the way around here, I believe. Yep, that's the slip stitch. So I've worked my 12 single crochets. You can see it's starting to curl up into a tiny little bowl. I've seen some buttons where that wrong side, if you will, the underside becomes the right side of the button, and that's a great look. For this particular one, I happen to like the inside, so I'm going to flip the bowl the other way around. Just literally flip it so that the bowl goes the other way. Okay, can you see that? I've flipped it so that the stitches I've been working, the right side is on the outside right now of the little bowl. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in that first stitch there. And now I'm ready to actually start decreasing. I want to create the back of the button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, and I am going to start doing some slip stitch decreases. So I'm going to pull up a loop from the first stitch, go into the second stitch, pull up a loop, and pull it all the way through. I'm going to keep doing that all the way around, so I will do that 6 times, because remember we're starting with 12 stitches. Of course, if you've decided to make a bigger button, you might have more stitches. Again, this is a very loosey-goosey sort of idea, more than a strict pattern. You can definitely make this your own. All right, should be just about there. Last couple here. All right, and there we have it. Now you can see, if I flip this over here, this is starting to pull quite close. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to stop crocheting. I'm not even going to worry about joining to that first one right now, that first slip stitch decrease, because that would be no fun. We all know working into those slip stitches can be difficult enough. Let's not bother with that. I am grabbing my scissors and my yarn needle, which is of course, there we go, not cooperating. I'm going to put that down for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and cut the yarn. I'm going to leave a relatively long tail here, probably at least 6 inches or so, because I want to leave enough not only to finish up the button, but to sew it on to whatever garment or accessory I want to use it on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that yarn on through, set the hook aside, and from here on out it's all about the yarn needle. Now this is the end that I just finished crocheting with. I'm going to put that on the yarn needle. There we go. And now you've got a couple choices here. If you want a puffier button, you can take the first end that was part of the magic circle and use it to stuff the button. That would create a puffier one. If you want a thinner one, you can go ahead and leave it hanging outside here. Make sure one more time though to pull it real tight and get that magic circle in the center closed. All right, so I'm going to kind of push it out of the way here, and I'm going to use my needle. Let's see if I can get this where you can see it, to go in and out of all the stitches of that last round there. And I don't really worry about, like, is that, you know, was that the join stitch? Is this the stitch? You're not worried about keeping stitch count here. The big goal is to cinch this last round closed. So you can just kind of weave in and out of the stitches. This is all like you might do if you had a hat that was worked bottom up and it told you to use the end of the yarn to cinch the top closed. This is the same thing. Just go in and out of those stitches a few times. You could even overlap a little bit from ones you did before. Then when you know you've gone all the way around, pull it nice and tight. There we go. And it closes it right up there on the bottom side of the button. It's not super pretty, but again, this is the bottom of the button, so nobody's going to see it. And now to help keep that magic circle closed there in the middle, you can, actually let me set the needle aside here, you can tie a double knot in these two ends. That will help keep the magic circle in the center closed without having to weave anything in. So I would probably tie another knot just to keep it secure. And here you have a very basic button. You can see it's got a little bit of interest, kind of looks like a starburst there in the center. And if you like, you can take a bit of contrasting yarn and you could add a little bit of detail, add a circle, sew on some spokes. You could even go in with your yarn needle and add some detailing in the bumps of the stitches around here. But at any rate, you now have a crocheted button. And you've got these two ends in the back that you can use to attach it to your garment. And that's all there is to making a crochet button. Feel free to play with this pattern and come up with your own designs, your own embellishments. Try switching colors halfway through, get a multicolored button that way. Crochet buttons are just a real handy way to finish off projects when you don't have just the right button to use or you want something really specific. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe to the Moogly Blog channel. We really appreciate all your support, and thank you so much for watching.